I wish men would stop focusing so much on masculinity and being a good man. Focus on your humanity. That is what y'all need to be working on. I've been talking about this before, about how this conversations around divine feminine and divine masculine are literally patriarchy repackaged. They're reinforcing outdated gender norms about men being leaders and women just, being about love and blah. First of all, me and my husband proved that stuff is BS. I was talking about this today with him because of this article that I'm going to go into a little bit more, and how much this man who thinks he's really progressive, he's in Sweden, he's, an involved dad, blah, and yet he keeps talking about how he needs to get in touch with his masculinity. And all of his masculinity stuff is stuff that humans deserve, but he thinks only men are entitled to. And so when I mentioned it to Anthony, I was like, yeah, all this masculinity talk about, they're focused and driven on goals and stuff. He was like, yeah, that's not me at all. That's you. Not that Anthony isn't driven and has goals, but he is more. It's not that I don't believe that opposite and opposing energies don't exist and that we have both in us, but this obsession with what is masculinity and femininity is driving me nuts, because he is he's the homemaker, he cooks, he cleans. He feels very unsettled if the house is not in order. He's the one who feeds the dog now because he notices that I don't even pay attention when I'm feeding and I'm not cutting it up enough, and he's afraid the dog's going to choke. He's the one who cries in every movie. I'm just He's more in touch with his emotions than I ever have been. I have been an outdoor leader, rafting, rock climbing, backpacking, sea kayaking, canoeing. I have been leading outdoor trips. I have been a lone wolf. I have lived in my truck. I have been on my lone wolf journey of needing a sense of purpose for most of my adult life. Whereas he has been relationships, community, every sport I've ever done is a individualist sport, climbing and running and all these things. It's me versus me. And he hates that stuff. He loves teamwork. He loves, all the things that people tell me that he's supposed to be masculine and I'm supposed to be feminine, they're the opposite. And yet I am, maybe despite my shirt, I am a feminine bitch. I love wearing little cute dresses. Look at this, okay? I can wear a dress, but this is more us. This is when I took him rafting for his first time back in New Mexico on our honeymoon. And I was also in a cast, and I guided. And he was scared, and he was proud of me, and he trusted my leadership. And I trust this man with my heart and my life. He gives me a sense of safety and security that no man has ever given me. It's got nothing to do with being provider and protector. He's smart as fork. He's empathetic as fork. And he's nurturing and all those things that I actually do not naturally have. Part of it is because I completely gave myself over to, toxic masculinity when I worked in the outdoor industry in order to be a cool girl, in order to fit in, because all the men gave me so much crap for being a feminist. Then I became a cool girl who pretended to hate women, and then I internalized that, blah, 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 whatever. That's another video. I've since been learning how to soften and trust and be vulnerable and all those things, which he seemed to naturally know how to do, and he teaches me how to do. He teaches me how to get angry and cry and let myself be sad. All the things that women are supposed to be good at. I mean, I didn't even realize just how true this article was when I wrote it after we first started dating. But this man lets me be the dude in our relationship. And I love it because this is just who I am. It's how I've always been. I'm always evolving and growing and changing and getting to know other parts of myself. And this is who he is. A gentle, sensitive, loving soul who's never been in a fight, who handles animals and people very delicately. Unlike me. Just look at him. Look at this. Look at his face when he was so excited to have a baby sister. Honestly, one of my favorite pictures of him because this is so him. And this is so me. And one of the reasons why we work so well together is because we complement each other. And because we also know what it feels like to be forced into a way of performing gender that didn't match us. Because before I was this and got to be myself, I had to wear this crap. This is not me. You know what I mean? We have both worked so hard to not be forced to behave in a gendered way, to perform gender in the way that this binary and this purity culture and this patriarchal, whatever, is trying to make us do. And so when I see all these like dating coaches and like men's groups leaders who are obsessed with masculinity, the way they define masculinity is so dehumanizing to women because they equate things that are human nature or things that humans should be able to do with just being masculine. Leadership, sense of purpose, protecting people. Tell me, give me one example of a man being any more protective than most of the mothers I know. Obviously, I know some moms failed their children miserably, but I mean, okay, as a person who worked in the outdoors for a long time, the only reason you need to be scared of a bear is if you see a little bitty cub, because that means mama's around the corner and you're dead, right? Like, even if it's unprovoked, man, if a mama bear sees a human, she assumes you're her enemy and she's gonna, like, and I've made plenty of videos. Every woman that I know has protected me more than a single man I know. When I was in a domestic violence situation, women showed up. We made plans. We made escape routes. I had a woman fly all the way from Alaska and literally drive me out of that town. Slept on the porch outside of my bedroom to hear if this dude was messing with me. Men didn't do any of that. A couple men showed up when they realized they needed to do something, but because they're not aware of what to look for, they just, didn't notice. So, I mean, all these things, we have been told that men are and women are this. It's all BS. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And this is why, as somebody who literally encouraged men to join men's groups, that they could talk about this stuff and help each other deconstruct this stuff because we shouldn't have to do it for y'all. Y'all need to help each other. You need to save yourself. Women are literally dying trying to help you and save you, and we're done. And yet now I'm terrified because a lot of these men's groups are nothing but like circle jerks. Masculinity. Ugh. So my husband and I talk about this a lot. And what he has realized, being with a lot of healthy men who are trying to deconstruct this crap, is that the primary thing that men need to do to end this system of oppression, this one form of oppression, because it's all tied together, right? Racism, patriarchy, capitalism, ableism, homophobia, all the isms, right? Is empathy. Learning how to get in touch with your humanity. Learning how to be empathetic. Learning how to care for others instead of being obsessed with yourself and your needs and your hobbies and what you want to do because you feel suffocated by fatherhood. Whatever. That should be the number one goal of men, not like figuring out how to be masculine. Fork masculinity. It always ends up being toxic because it labels what a man is. And come on, it's not even inclusive. And that stuff, this binary is used to literally justify all kinds of harm against the LGBTQ plus community. Just letting people be who they want to be, what feels right to them. Because for the longest time, I was like, am I gay? I'm not attracted to women, but I'm not a woman. And it really messed with me, y'all. And my husband was on the other end of that. It's like we met in the middle being like, I don't fit in with the thing I'm supposed to be. Which is why I was criticizing this piece. I do appreciate that this man is admitting out loud the real problem. Yes, policy is important. We can't get anywhere without policy. Policy ain't enough. And this dude proved it. Even with all the policy in the world that supports men doing as much work as women to care for children, they still won't do it because of their entitlement and their misogyny. Their self-hatred is wrapped up in all that too. And this part of the piece, by the way, click the link if you want to read part 1 of this, because I really kind of go into all of it with this piece. But what I didn't hit quite as hard is that this man not only will not deal with his childhood trauma of his dad abandoning him to go run, like he's acknowledging it, but he's not dealing with it. He's going skiing and he's acknowledging like patriarchy. It never shares what the hell they did. He's literally just like, I did all this and then we worked it out. And he comes so close to hitting the point of how his idea of what masculinity and being a man is what's so messed up. He thinks being weak is feminine. He thinks his mother is at fault for being a victim of patriarchy. Like that statement alone, dude, you really need to unpack that. That, testing his manhood with a formidable challenge. Why don't you test your manhood? I would say you need to deal with your personhood by healing your crap and facing your shame about being misogynistic. If I have misogyny in me, you have misogyny in you. We all have misogyny. Can we just admit that? Again and again. Masculinity, expressing masculinity. Fork masculinity. Focus on being a human.